If we knew how many wells were involved, we might get a clearer picture.
Well, the authorities were more than helpful.
Well, you just keep on the tail of that jukebox.
Well, that's you, quite obviously. An amazing resemblance. That, I'm afraid, only leaves us tonight to catch up on old times.
Of course it did. Well, you're visual proof of that, aren't you?
Well, these scarecrows are to scare people away.
Let's just wing it, shall we, Mrs. Bell?
Well, possession being 9 points of the law, I would say Kananga is your problem, huh? Thank you.
Well done, Albert.
How about an earthquake?
Well, he always did have an inflated opinion of himself. Well, thanks for everything, Felix.
You are very handsome.
Well, I don't usually intrude like this, but I...
Well, what the hell is Lazar?
Oh, I admit it's a little kinky.
Well, there's only one small problem. I have no swimming trunks.
Neither have I.
Oh, your concern for my well-being is touching.
Well, we all get our jollies one way or another. Neither have I, actually.
Oh, we could stray inadvertently into them, sir.
Yes.
Well, thank you. I think you just delivered it. Well, an apology will be made to the American government, Mr. Drax. Well, the trouble is there's never a 70-year-old around when you need one.
Well, you go first. I'll turn off the lights.
Well, don't we all? I'd like to keep abreast of things. But then can you think of a reason why we don't have a drink afterwards?
Well, the thought had flashed across my mind.
Well, before you do that, sir, have Q do an analysis of this.
Oh, don't bother showing me the rest.
Well, it's funny you should say that, Money Penny. As a matter of fact, I was in a cable car and, never mind. I actually brought it back from the area of the River Tipperary.
Well done, James.
James.
Moneypenny, a feast for my eyes.
What about the rest of you?
Well, I was going to get around to that.
Well, you'd better go in. Oh, haven't you forgotten something?
Oh, well, as M's away, every order could be countermanded. Well, I hope you have a car.
Would you care to join me in some Glühwein?
That's a very good idea, thank you.
Phoebe wants to know if you would escort her, Mr. Bond. I would feel better if there were someone with her.
Well, I'd be delighted. Well, I'm exceedingly flattered, B.B. Yes, well, you get your clothes on. Yes, well, you can't lose. Well, B.B., I'm afraid I have to leave you.
No, James, stay with me. James! James, what took you so long?
Well, I took the scenic route.
James, you're jealous.
Well, of course.
James, how did you know I was here?
Well, I radio-telephoned the Triana, and they told me you were coming ashore.
Well, if you'll forgive me, I find that a little too scented for my palate. Well, I would have thought that a lady in your position...
Oh, that sounds like a dismissal.
Air would be useless at this depth. We'd need a special mixture of oxygen and helium. Ah, seems though BB has a new sponsor.
Well, it's a small world. You're a Toro, too.
Well, I must say you become more beautiful every day.
I am over here.
Well, we do have one lead minister.
Property of a lady.
Well, there are quite a few ladies here. He complains. If it's legitimate. Yes, well, I've 55 minutes to catch that flight, sir. Well, then why don't we meet there later?
Well, I'll change into something less casual.
Well, I think that this should be ample security. But then I shall use player's privilege. Well, let's put it this way. Up to now, you are the least lethal and by far the prettiest of Kamau's friends that I've come across.
Thank you. I collect memories.
Well, let's get on with making a few. Well, so far I can't complain about the valet service. Well, supposing, for argument's sake, I don't feel like talking. Well, you know what they say about the fittest?
Well then, where did you recruit all these lovelies?
When I come back, we'll discuss the future.
Well, I can't guarantee that I'll be here when you return.
Oh, James.
Well, I have to go to a circus in Karl-Marxstadt. The jewelry, sir, I think, is, if you'll forgive the analogy, only the tip of the tentacle.
Well, there was a heck of a crowd on the piste. Rest and recreation, my darling.
Well, the modern toaster.
Well, under the circumstances, sir, I thought it more important to identify the assassin.
What did you learn from Aubergine before his untimely demise?
Well, only that Zorin is having a thoroughbred sale at his stud not far from here. Oh, my dear, I take it you spend quite a lot of time in the saddle.
Yes, I love an early morning ride.
Oh, I'm an early riser myself. Come along, Tibbet. Stop wheezing. Oh, Tibbet, you heard what Miss Genuflex said. There is a reception at 6.
Why don't you concern yourself with that?
Well, are you, buying or selling?
Selling?
Horses.
Oh, no, I'm not interested in horses.
Oh, you came to the wrong place, didn't you? Oh, well, let me walk you to the chopper.
That won't be necessary.
Well, a little of both would be ideal. Well, quite frankly, I prefer cross-country to steeplechase.
Well, it's not mutual.
It ties in with the horse injections. Well, I'd like to take a look at that oil pumping station. Wow. Pola Ivanova.
James Bond, you haven't changed.
Well, you have. You're even lovelier. I didn't know that. Oh, thank you. Well, I'm afraid all the king's horses and all the king's men won't do much with that. Well, those baboons could come back. Well, I'll check the windows and the doors and... Oh, reconnect the telephone. On the tape, Zorin mentioned Silicon Valley. Could that be affected? Well, then why don't you enlighten me, Zorin?
You're out of your depth.
This is James Stock of the London Financial Times.
Well, actually, Captain, I'm with the British Secret Service. The name is Bond. James Bond.
Is he?
Are you?
Yes.
Well, life is short. I mean, f*** him. You know, who needs it? Come on, get the